Oh, baby. Welcome into another edition of Say Hey Plays. Different show, same guys. Welcome into it. This is a little different from the Pub Sports Radio baseball show, but it is still baseball. We are here to talk about win totals, over-unders, a little bit of some baseball players to look out for. And it's going to be a great time. I'm joined alongside with, of course, my good buddy, Andrew Santangelo. Andrew, how you doing?
Hey, I need to thank you for staying with my schedule and all the changes and still being able to do this. So big thank you to you, and I'm doing well, though. How about you?
No problem. It just gives me more time to make random things for the show. So I appreciate you for joining me, as always. But let's get right into it. But before, Andrew, let's show some love to a particular sponsor that will help you in these endeavors, these gambling endeavors. That is our good friends at mybookie.com, Andrew. That's actually mybookie.ag, not a .com. Silly me, but that's mybookie.ag. Mybookie.ag will help you with all your gambling needs. Go there today. Put in promo code PUBSPORTS. Gonna put deposit $100, Andrew. You get 50% right back to you. $150, Andrew. Get some money to gamble with and start hopefully making money on these over-unders. You know, I think it'll be a great time for all of us here.
Absolutely. Hey, who can complain about money back? So,
that's interesting. How about we do a little Royals talk to start off with, Andrew? You ready for some Royals?
Oh, absolutely.
Let's go through the additions and subtractions real fast. They got an outfielder named Andrew Benintendi. Ever heard of him? Wade Davis, Irvin Santana, Mike Minor, Gerard Dyson, Hanser Alberto. They lost your boy Mike Alfranco, Royals legend Alex Gordon, Ian Kennedy, Matt Harvey, the GOAT, and prospect turned outfielder that's pretty good, hopefully, Frenchie Cordero. And their over-under is at 71.5. What do you think, Andrew? Where are we going right now? Where do you want to start off with this Royals squad?
I think they've built a very interesting team. I think they've kind of built it with a lot of veterans in the offensive end, part of their lineup. Obviously, you get Perez coming back. You sign a veteran in Santana. You already have Whit Merrifield. You get Hunter Dozier. I think it's a very interesting team. The big question mark is the starting rotation, which Danny Duffy you're going to get. And then outside of that, though, they've built, and Mike Minor, which Minor you're going to get. And then outside of that, they have a lot of young names that are very intriguing names. I'm very excited to watch and see on the upcoming. But I think the 71 wins is about where I have them. I'm going to lean slightly toward the under there. I think I'm going to go around the 68 to 70 range. Mainly a big part is because of the division where they're in. We'll get into the rest of the teams here in a few minutes, but I think that's the big thing that scares me is how they're going to compete inside this division where a lot of these losses are probably going to come from.
You know what, Andrew? I guess we're going to disagree early because I like the over. I like this Royals squad, you know. I think they're very underrated coming into this season. You know, a lot of hype. They got a decent bullpen. Hopefully they can revive Wade Davis's corpse. You know, Wade Davis was a stud back in the day. We all remember those days, Andrew. We all remember.
I remember.
71.5, you know, I think it's pretty close. 81 games is 500 for all the guests or all the fans out there. But you know, I'm gonna stick with that over pick, Andrew. I like the over at 71.5. Maybe it'll be close, but I think the Royals hopefully end up buying at the deadline this year, maybe to hope and boost their playoff chances too. That would help that over under as well.
See, that's one of the reasons why I'm going with the under, because I feel like a lot of these names they got are going to be trade pieces at the deadline, and I could see a Carlos Santana traded. I could see if he comes back like the way he used to be, you could see Wade Davis traded at the deadline if they're not where they want to be, especially in a division like this where the White Sox, Indians, and Twins are all most likely going to be in front of them. Their playoff likelihood is diminished in that sense. So I see a lot of these names possibly being moved at the deadline, which means lesser wins in that second half. And going through their schedule, it's going to be a tough, but in a way, maybe who you want to start out the year, because you have some division opponents early on in the year. So if you want to get out to that quick start, you could do that and help yourself inside the division. As they open at home against the Rangers, which, I mean, that should be a winnable series if they want to. And then out their next two series against the Indians and White Sox. So again, those are two inside divisions that are divisional opponents that you're going to have to take care of if you want to be in that race. And then they go to the Angels and Blue Jays. So two teams that are supposed to be kind of taking the next step this year as well. So it'll be a fun opening start and see where this Kansas City team's at.
Yeah, I'd like to see them take 2 of 3 of those first 3 series at least to see. Well, I'd hope. I want to see the Indians not succeed this year, unfortunately. Shout out to Terry.
Really?
I still love you, but we'll talk about the Indians right now, Andrew, as we transition along. Remember, we're not going to get to the Indians yet. We actually still have stuff to talk about. So let's back it up. Let's back it all the way up. And I want to hear your best case and worst case scenarios for this Royals team this year.
I'll start with the worst case, because I always believe negatives first and then, look at the positives. So I think worst case scenario is that this team doesn't perform. These younger guys don't take that step forward, and you could look at a really bad situation. I mean, this starting rotation, if you look at the expected starting rotation outside of Danny Duffy and Mike Minor, you're looking at guys that are 24, 23 years old filling out that rotation, and not even including some of the prospects that are coming up. So I think worst case scenario is these guys are up maybe too soon and they kind of blow up and maybe hurt some confidence or hurt where they think they can be at, and they kind of take a step backward this year. I think best case scenario is what you've been saying. I mean, this team performs, fights for a division. You get the veterans in here, and then you kind of become buyers at the deadline and maybe sneak into the wild card spot. Would it surprise me if things go right with the young prospects? They'd have to beat out the Indians, which, I mean, we'll get to them in a little bit, but that could happen. So I think that's best case scenario is you try to sneak into a wild card spot. I can't say I'm winning the division, but yeah, worst case scenario, which does scare me, is these young guys take a step backward.
Okay, fair enough. My best case, worst case would be best case. They get into the wild card spot. They finished third in the division. Worst case, they finish behind the Tigers, and they just keep they like you said, they figure out that Andrew Benintendi might be washed. Their rotation doesn't take that step forward they need, and they finish behind the Tigers in last place in the division. Andrew, let's go on to our last segment with this Royal squad. Player to watch, Andrew. We like doing this. We like giving everyone a little player to keep an eye on. Maybe if you see the highlights, you'll remember us by it. Andrew, I'll start with you here again. Who's your player to watch on this Royals club?
I'm going with the young pitcher. He's 24 years old, Brady Singer. He's a young guy. He came up
with that pronunciation. I see you. That's a good.
What? Is that wrong? Is that wrong?
I'm proud of you.
one for one today.
There you go. Good job.
No, he was a first round pick a few years ago, 2018. So about 2 years ago, you kind of expect him to go through the development, and now he's at the spot you want him to be at. He came up toward the end of last year, didn't have best outings. He had 2 starts at a 4.76 ERA. So again, not where you want, but a full off season now. I expect him to take those next steps. I'm excited to see where he's at with this Kansas City team. And again, he's got guys there to kind of help his development. We'll see where the kind of coaching staff is after a few down years. Danny Duffy never kind of got back to the way he was supposed to be after he signed that contract. So that's what kind of concerns me a little bit, is the trajectory of some of these other guys in there. But I'm excited to see Brady come up here and win a spot in the rotation. I'd say probably the 3rd spot in the rotation would be my guess, looking at this team, and then go from there.
Okay. All right. I like that answer. My answer, which I apparently stole from you because I chose all my players first in your face. I chose the heater, Josh Staumont. Like you said earlier, he throws gas in the 99th percentile for fastball velocity, spin rates out the charts with my boy Josh. Let me pull up some stats for you real quick, Andrew, because my man Josh Staumont is a machine. 94% whiff percentage, 90% K percentage, only 2% hard hit rate. And his pitchers for the Baseball Savant, if no one knows about this website, we like to talk about the Baseball Savant. likes to compare pitchers' years. So the similarities or the similar 2020s for Mr. Staumont was Kenley Jansen, Lucas Giolito, and Tyler Manley. So it's pretty good. And just to give back his actual stats from last year, 25 and 2/3 innings pitched, 37 Ks, and 18 of those Ks were via his 102 mile per hour fastball. So, yeah, he's legit. I cannot wait to see more of this guy. Hopefully, he reinforces that fastball with his off speed and just control that 102. I know that's fucking hard to do, but, I hope those strikes come.
Man, I'm excited to watch him. And again, I like the pieces they put around him to help him kind of get to that level he should be able to get to. Two guys that have been there for a while, two guys that have been there through the successful times and through some downtime. So I like the chances of him getting on the right note.
All right, so let's move on, Andrew. Let's talk about the Cleveland I words. Cleveland I words, which I will be trying to refer to them as on this program. Because they are changing their name next year. They don't have an official name yet, but they're keeping the I word name. So we're just going to call them the Cleveland baseball team, I guess. The Cleveland baseball team, a very chaotic, hectic, just overall bad off season for the Indians. Oh, I just said the Indians. Damn. Maybe
that didn't take long.
We'll see. Who cares? But the Cleveland baseball team, let's talk about some additions and subtractions. They lost this guy named Francisco Lindor. Ever heard of him? Tyler Naquin, Delano DeShields, Carlos Santana, and their closer, Brad Hand, who will probably be a sneaky underrated loss for them. They've gained not many guys because the Indians do not like spending money, as we all have learned. Or I guess we didn't.
Nobody does apparently anymore.
Yeah, they gained they added Eddie Rosario and his eyebrows, Amed Rosario from the Lindor trade, Andres Jimenez from the Lindor trade, and I'm gonna write down Terry Francona as an addition because he was in and out via health. So he's back for now. He's kind of going through it health wise, but he's there.
Yeah, I'm excited for Francona to be back. I think it's better for the sport. Hopefully that means his health is getting better and he's not trying to force his way back. I think it's big for the clubhouse as well.
All right, Andrew. They are right now, their win total sits at 80.5, right at that 500 mark, plus 3,000 to win the World Series, Andrew. What do you think right now? What are you thinking?
I think this Indians team. I'm calling them Indians. I think this Indians team can surprise some people this year. I think yes, they did lose Francisco Lindor, but we'll get into the rest of the team here in a little bit. But I think their numbers are something to watch for in the odds here. I think especially as a division as a whole, it's plus 750 for the division. So I kind of like that as a sneaky pick there.
Oh, okay, good. Oh, you already have division picks too. I'm sorry, I didn't come prepared with my division picks. I guess I should have.
I never picking them to win the division. I'm saying odd wise.
Okay, good. Hey, I'm gonna look up some odds.
Sneaky play.
I'll look up the division odds right now and give my division pick too. Andrew, while I look up the odds to win the division, how about you tell us about the rotation and the diamond? Who's on there?
Yeah, I think this Indians team is filled with a lot of different talent. To start off with the rotation, you have the MVP ended up winning MVP. No, Jose Brady did. The Cy Young's coming back and Shane Bieber. You have also a full-on young staff that was tremendous last year. Following him is Aaron. Is it Savelia?
Aaron Savali. Close, Andrew.
That's close.
You got it.
Zach Plesac. Mm-hmm. Tristan McKenzie and Logan Allen is the expected guys there. Again, this is a team that you might see go with a 6-man rotation at some points in the season just because of how star young driven this team is, even after losing some guys in that rotation. Going around the diamond, catcher Roberto Perez is expected to get the start, but also split time with Austin Hedges. So two kind of platoon catchers there.
Awful.
Not good. You don't like that?
Not what I want. Just
no?
Okay defensively, but zero's offense. So not what I want.
Was Perez there last year? Is that who the catcher was last year?
I think so. Yeah, he's been there. He's one of the best framers in baseball. So statistical goal.
First baseman Bobby Bradley. Second baseman Gold Glover Cesar Hernandez.
I've never heard of that first baseman in my life.
Hey, he's a young guy. He's born in '96, so he's 24 years old. He's an up-and-coming prospect.
Okay, yeah, well, a year older than I am.
All right,
shout out to him.
That's third base. Hey, MVP candidate throughout his career, Jose Ramirez.
Yeah.
Any issues with him?
Well, him and Taylor. No, it's not Taylor Trammell. Him and oh my god, I forgot who the other one. Framil Reyes.
Oh, I did see that. I know where you're going with this.
Him and Framil Reyes just got caught breaking COVID protocol somehow. So that's not a good way to start the season. But we will continue talking about.
No. Especially after last year's issues that caused the Mike Clevenger trade.
Yeah, by the Indians' logic, that means Ramirez is on his way out, right?
Absolutely. Deal will be done by the end of the week.
All right, I'm just checking.
Shortstop Amed Rosario, left field Eddie Rosario, center field Oscar Mercado, right field Josh Naylor, and designated hitter Franmil Reyes.
Wow, good. A lot of good
again
from you again. Wow.
Hey, sometimes things change, right? Maybe I'm learning.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, on paper, this team has a lot of guys you don't know, a lot of young players, cheap players to be exact for the Indians. And at what point, their arms are so good, they're so good at developing the arms. How far is that going to take them? And who the hell is? Oh, it's James Cherenkak, actually, the guy who I just can't say his name for once in my life. I can never say it correctly, but I think I said it there. I don't know. But he's going to close ball games this year, and he's electric. If you haven't watched him pitch, please watch Indians' ninth innings now, just to see him strike out people with his ridiculous stuff and his wackiness.
But I think this team can surprise. I think they got, like you said, a lot of young names. They were expected to make a big step last year, and I think this is the year that they can get theirs. I think Cleveland, they did. Obviously, you don't want to lose a guy like Francisco Lindor, which they ended up doing, but I think this team is still out to maybe surprise people and still absolutely fight for a wild card spot. And if they don't, I'd be disappointed in them.
Well, I hope you're about to be disappointed. Andrew, let's officially give our over-under win total picks right after we do best case, worst case, and player to watch here, Andrew. Let's do it. Best case, worst case for these Indians.
Best case, again, I think division's best case spot here for Cleveland. I think they have it. What was it?
Win the division?
Yes, I think this team, again, best case scenario for this team is still a division contender. When you have a rotation like that, you'll be able to compete with anybody in the division. You already mentioned the closer, a high velocity thrower, which he should be able to shut down innings as well. And if you get what you need from the younger offense, I like where this team, maybe not, if it doesn't happen this year, I definitely like the future of this team going forward. Worst case scenario is, I'd say you let Kansas City somehow pass you for that third spot, because I really don't think this team should finish any worse than third. So worst case scenario for this Cleveland team is everything backfires after that Francisco trade. And honestly, now with already kind of locker room issues, basically with everything happening, as you already mentioned, that could be another thing, is a locker room blow up that causes this team to go downhill and spiral down for that fourth spot in the division.
On top of the Jose Ramirez and Franmil Reyes stuff, let's not forget that they've had their own issues with Mickey Callaway. That story, it was apparently reported that Terry Francona and among other people knew about all this Mickey Callaway stuff and just kind of brushed it under the rug. Didn't tell people about it, all that stuff. So on top of that stuff, it's a lot of bad vibes coming out of the Indians. And I tend to agree with you, Andrew, but I think, worst case, they end up trading Jose Ramirez. They trade, man, I don't know if they would trade, I would say Jose Bieber, but Shane Bieber.
Too early for him, right?
I think he still has plenty of years under control, so I think they would keep him, but I would say worst case they trade a Jose Ramirez for prospects, and they embrace the tank with Shane Bieber, I guess, and their ridiculous pitching staff. We're best case, I wouldn't say win the division. I don't think they're that good. Second place, I guess. Just take second place, take a wild card spot, win a round, get into the divisional series, probably lose that round. Maybe just be frisky in the playoffs. That seems like what the Indians' MO has been. Terry Francona is an excellent manager, and then, like I said, they can develop pitching like no other. Tristan McKenzie's a stud. Shane Bieber is the favorite to win Cy Young again, but I'm not on board. I just can't do it, Andrew. I can't do it.
When you have a rotation like that, you'll be able to compete.
You're right about that. They have a good rotation. They will compete, Andrew. Let's talk about maybe someone in that rotation. Let's see. I'll start off with player to watch on this Indian squad, this baseball team, the I words. I'm going to pick a guy that I know, personally, my good friend, Josh Naylor. He is a former San Antonio Mission. By say my good friend Josh Naylor, I've never talked to him once in my life. I was just the bat boy while he was there. I watched him rake in front of me. He hit 350 plus throughout most of the season while he was at San Antonio. Double-A, I believe that was the Double-A Padres affiliate at that point. They didn't move around so much. I just barely remember anymore. But he hit 350. He's not a power guy. He's kind of, when you see him, there'll be a video playing of him. You see him, he's kind of doughy, You think he's like that David Ortiz power hitter, but he's really not. He drives the ball, hits line drives, gets on base. A decent defender now is getting better. Sprint speed is actually in the 50th percentile, so around there. So he's not that slow either. So I think he's a good bat. I think he was the crown jewel of one of their trades recently. I forgot who was traded for at this point now. It's been so much. But I think he could be that Indians outfielder that can really boost their squad. Because, Andrew, let me tell you, their outfield last year was awful. Would you like to hear the stats, Andrew?
Yes, tell me how bad it was.
Oh, man. Andrew, let me tell you. Cleveland's outfield WAR together. You want to guess what it was?
Negative 2.1.
Negative 0.9. I thought you were going to guess positive. So that's a good guess by you. Negative 0.9. 54 weighted runs created plus, Andrew. League average is 100. 54 is not good, Andrew. That is for the Indians outfield, and a 252 weighted WOBA. Andrew, again, league average is 320. That is not good for this team. Andrew, I'm going to go ahead and give a little prediction while we're here. I think that Josh Naylor hits 300 this year, and hopefully hits double-digit home runs, but I wouldn't bet on that since we're talking betting. But I think he hits 300, and I think he's the best outfielder in this I-words rotation of outfielders they have.
I like that pick, and they're gonna need somebody to step up. So I think it could be him. And like you said, the outfield is definitely a spot this team is going to need improvement from, and a lot of young guys in there, especially in that outfield as well. So we'll see what he does.
Yeah, who's your guy, Andrew? Let me know who it is.
My guy, I'm going to go with a newcomer as well, and Amed Rosario. I think
do good.
I picked him for multiple. What did you say?
Has to do good.
I picked him for multiple different reasons, and not just because of what he has to do for this team, but you have a big hole to fill there on this Cleveland team. You're replacing basically one of the best, if not the best, shortstops in the MLB, and Francisco Lindor. So you have a huge shoes to fill in here. And besides, this team is going to need a guy like that. And if he's able to do what he did with the Mets in the year like 2019, he hit 287. Had 72 RBIs and 15 home runs. Obviously, that's not Francisco numbers, but that's definitely pretty good numbers for a shortstop. That would definitely help this team. And I'm interested to see where they have him hit in the lineup. I would like to see him kind of hit around the two spot in this batting order. I think he's a guy that can spark this team.
I think you'll see him at 7, 8, 9. That's where you'll be seeing the Amed Rosarios. So
I think that's where you'll see some of those outfielders in their lineup.
You're right.
You figure, what was that?
I said you're right. This team's not great, Andrew.
Hey,
Honest.
if things click, they'll surprise you. Don't worry.
Yeah, Terry Francona could work some magic, Andrew. Let's end it here. Over under. We've been teasing it this whole time. 80.5, Andrew.
Give me the over.
Let's say you seem like you're going to the over. I'm going under. I think, Andrew, I think this is a lock. I really do think the Indians are in the season from hell phase. And I think it's just going to keep getting worse, you know. They've had these untimely injuries. Shane Bieber, I love Shane Bieber to death. I love watching Shane Bieber. But can Shane Bieber really do what he did again? He was so good last year. And how will they baby that? And it'll be interesting to see. I love the under here.
Can he put up those same numbers? Probably not, but he's still going to be a dominant pitcher that's going to just outduel everyone he faces. Basically, he'll be close to a 20-game winner. And a lot of those. What was it?
Will he though?
Yes, in a full season, you figure he'll get what, 35 starts at least?
Ah, man, you really think they're going to use him a lot? I don't know. They might have to.
Why wouldn't they use him a lot? He's going to be their ace.
Well, because, you never know. They're trying to avoid injury. They ramp the pitchers back up. It's been a while since they've thrown that much. I don't know. I think if I put it over under at 18.5 wins for Shane Bieber, I would feel pretty comfortable taking the under.
I would say about 18, so I'd probably lean under. But that still proves my point, close to a 20-game winner.
I 15.
I said, what was it?
What about 15.5? You'd comfortable taking?
I'm taking the over. Yeah, give me the over on 15.5.
Take on under there. I think he'd sit around 14 if he's lucky.
He's got plus 330 on Cy Young.
Yeah, he's one of the favorites. I mean, I personally, I think he is very good, but I think him being on the I words really takes back from his candidacy. So.
Okay. Would you go Cy Young for him again?
No. I would roll the dice with someone with larger odds. Let's move on, Andrew. We've talked a lot about the I words today. They've got a lot of shine.
You're welcome.
I'm ready to take it a little windy, Andrew. A little windy. Let's talk about
Cubs, right?
Huh? Yeah, no.
Is it the Cubs?
No. Let's talk about.
Have they been replaced as the baseball team in Chicago?
Yes, they have. Let's talk about the other squad in Chicago, the Chicago White Sox. One of the most exciting teams last year. I believe we told you guys about this last year. We were a little early on the White Sox. It was a good time. I love being right about things, Andrew. I'm sure that my girlfriend especially will tell you that I love being right.
Happens a lot, right?
Yeah, all the time. I know. I'm always right. Additions and subtractions. Let's go with a little Jonathan Lucroy. Does that interest you? A little Carlos Rondon. Adam Eaton comes back home. They get the slider, Liam Hendricks. They ended up hiring, and the most surprising move maybe the whole offseason, Tony La Russa. Hopefully he'll be sober for spring training in the season. Adam Eagle and Lance Lynn, the hefty man, coming from Arlington, going to Chicago to pitch for the White Sox. What do you think about this White Stockings team?
If I was a Chicago White Sox fan, I'd be very excited. I think that their step is only going to go more in the right direction. I mean, you saw what happened last year. We were all surprised by the change in the manager spot. I think we'll get into that in a little bit. I'll say what that happens, where I'm going with that in a little bit here. But I think you got MVP Jose Brady coming back. Tim Anderson continues to play very well. I think the question mark for this team could come from the outfield. I'm a little shaky in some of the guys in the outfield here for this White Sox roster. We'll see if they're able to perform. See what Adam Eaton's able to do with this team going back there. So we'll see what happens. But I think their best signing was Liam Hendricks. I think they needed to put a closer there that's going to be able to come in the ninth inning and shut the door down. And we saw what he was able to do in Oakland the last few years. So a lot of confidence in him. We saw what they did to bolster that starting rotation. And this is a very deep team, which I think bodes very well for not only the regular season, but come playoff time, you have a lot of different names that could give you starts, come in relief, and even come up with some clutch hits. So I'm excited to see where this team goes, and I think this could be your division winner.
Yeah, their subtractions include not so many notable names, which makes them even more interesting. Gio Gonzalez leaves. Edwin Encarnacion is not on the squad anymore and doesn't have a team, I believe. So who knows what Edwin might be doing. Dane Dunning was lost in the trade for Lance Lynn, I believe, and Nomar Mazara leaves as well. Right now, Andrew, their over-under is the highest of this division. It sits at 90.5. And right now, their World Series win odds are plus 900. You mentioned AL division odds. They are also minus 140 to win this division. So they are your favorites. The additions, they all come together to get the little stew here, Andrew. They were knocking on the door last year. I don't know, Andrew. Tony La Russa really throws me off. I'm not going to lie to you. And there's an alternate reality, Andrew, where Alex Cora could be their manager. There really is an alternate reality that he could be their manager. He talked about it. He was talked about him on a different podcast that he was interested in going into either one of these White Sox or Red Sox squads. Obviously, the Red Sox were first on his list, but if they weren't interested, he would go to the Chicago White Sox. And they hired Tony La Russa. And I don't believe they even interviewed Alex. I don't remember the exact story, but they hired Tony and Alex Cora. He said he was pretty surprised by the move. So that's a pretty tough look right there. Imagine this squad with Alex Cora. Oh, man.
I think we're all surprised by that move. I don't think outside the inside reporters there for the White Sox team, I don't know if you'll find anyone that had him as the first choice for the White Sox.
Yeah. All right, Angel. Let's go into best case, worst case here because we're running out of time here. These are supposed to be quick shows, Andrew, but these are previews. So we'll talk about format for the show when we get into the regular season. But best case, worst case for this White Sox squad, Andrew. You go first.
Worst case is it blows up in their face with the Tony La Russa managerial decision. I really think the stuff he's done in the past and the stuff he's currently done in the offseason, yeah, we all hear what the players say on camera and stuff because, they're not going to just come out flat out rip the decision because they still got to play for this guy. So I think you really find out what they want to do in terms of how they're going to play for this manager, what they truly believe when the season gets rolling here in the next coming weeks. So I think you'll find out pretty quick where this team will be, and you might even see a managerial change if it does blow up fast in the beginning stages, just because this organization knows what they have on paper. So they're not going to be willing to kind of let it blow up, in my opinion, especially with where some of these guys are at age-wise. So I think that's worst case scenario is it blows up in their face because of the managerial decision. Best case is an AL title. I really think this team is deep enough to win that AL crown. You look at the rest of these teams, and we'll preview a lot of these teams in the near future. But this White Sox team, I really like the depth, the mix of the pitching and the hitting, along with the bullpen they've built. So best case scenario is a title here.
All right. So you like those plus 900 World Series odds, Andrew? Would you just consider a little sprinkle there?
I would consider a sprinkle there. That is some pretty good odds here for this team.
All right, fair enough. We won't go through the full depth chart for this White Sox squad, but we will go through our players to watch, Andrew. And I'll go first. I will give you 1.5, Andrew. I'm kind of cheating here. I'm giving you 1.5 players to watch. My first one does not have any video on him, so I'm not going to talk about him thoroughly. But it's Michael Kopech, former Red Sox top prospect with Yohan Moncada, traded for Chris Sale. We all know the deal. Throws gas, hurt last year. Actually, no, he opted out last year, I believe. So yes. He's coming back. We all want to see it. He could be the ace of this staff. He could be better than Lucas Giolito, for all we know. Like, he could be easily that 1-2 punch they need. He could be better than Lance Lynn. He could be better than Keuchel. He could be just as good as maybe not as just better than Giolito. Maybe I'm overstating it there, but he could be just as good potentially. We never know. And I think he'd be fun to watch. But my real guy to watch, Andrew, is another top prospect who was in the majors last year, who I love. And you'll notice a little trend with my players to watch because we're starting to run out of this type of player, Andrew. We're starting to run out of the type of player that is really bat to ball, who is not about the power, not hitting 40 home runs. And I'm picking Nick Madrigal, Andrew. Nick Madrigal, the White Sox second baseman. He only has 1 year in the league. It was last year. Man, Andrew, I just really enjoy watching him play. He hits the ball to all sides of the field. He's kind of short, He has that kind of Dustin Pedroia vibe. I love it. He's their number 3 prospect, I remember, Andrew. And let me give you another little trivia, little guessy game here, Andrew. How many Ks do you think he had? 109 at bats.
109 bats. Let's go with 3.
He had. Wow, you are not. That was a bad guess. He had 7.
That's not bad guess.
7 Ks and 109 at bats. Very good right there. I love it. He got thrown. I don't understand this, Andrew. He got thrown 60% fastballs, and guess what his average was against those fastballs, Andrew?
460.
426, Andrew. 426 on a 60% fastball rate. And I was thinking about it, why are they doing this? But guess what, Andrew? They have to throw this kid fastballs because you have Jose Abreu there. You've got Luis Robert there. You've got all these boppers around him, and you've got to throw this kid fastballs. And guess what? He's just going to keep slapping singles, getting on base for everyone else. I love it. He's a quick guy. He's great at defense. I want to see his walk rate go up this year, and I want to see what happens if off speed becomes an issue for him. He hit around 250 against the off speed pitches against changeups, I think, in particular. So he'll have to get that up. But I truly think, Andrew, he can hit. I said it. One of my poll predictions last year said who can hit 400. Nick Madrigal was up there for me last year. I think he can hit. He hit 350 last year. So I think he could go up. He can hit 360. He's 370. I think he can get up to the 380s.
Yeah, I mean, I could say I will see what he does in a full year here. 162 games. 400 would be a lot for me. I see him probably around that 330 to 340 range, in my opinion.
Yeah, but he hit 380, Andrew, at Oregon State. He hit 380 at Oregon State. Just think, that's ridiculous right there.
That's incredible.
He hit 340 at single A. He hit 340 in double A. And guess what he hit last year, Andrew? 340. 350 coming this year.
I love to see it. We need more of those contact guys and hits for those averages.
All right, tell me your guy, Andrew.
I'm going to go with a guy that you're probably familiar with, Johan Makata. I think what?
I like the pick.
It's a pick because he needs to come into his own this year and really take that next step. Everyone keeps saying it's going to happen this upcoming year. It's going to happen this year. And we all thought in 2019 he kind of took that next step. And then in 2020, I know it's not a year, but his average goes from 315 to 225. So you kind of saw a huge dip there from him in that season. I think he has to go back to that 2019 performance. I think that's when this team could be at their best. I think, obviously, I already mentioned, I think the outfield here is a little bit of a question mark. So where are the guys going to step up for those positions? You know what you're going to get out of Jose Abreu. I think this middle infield, you already mentioned the second baseman in the middle infield. I'm going to go with the shortstop here. This is an area that this team is going to need to be able to help carry this team to become that team that I really think they can be. And I think this has to be his year before. I mean, how much longer does this team give him until they kind of start giving up on him? Because, this is going to be year 5 with the White Sox, year 6 in the league. So this has to be the year for himself and the White Sox as well. So I'm going to go with Makata here, and hopefully he's a fun guy to watch too when he's right. So hopefully it comes to fruition.
All righty, let's officially decide, Andrew. We've got over under 90 and a half games, Andrew. 90 and a half. You going over under here?
This is a close one. I'm going to lean over here. I'm going to go 92. No, I will go 92, 93 win range here. Again, tough division. Might lose a couple games here and there to some of the better teams, but give me over here and the division.
That's pretty surprising. I thought you were going to go under. You might think I'm going to go under. I think this is a good number. I think it could be exactly 90, but I think you should, if you're going to bet this, you have to bet the under, because like we said, Tony La Russa, man, that situation that could blow up in their face, and they have to change that whole vibe up, and that they lose a couple games early in the season and doom them from themselves and trying to get that 90 games. So I like the under here as well.
Okay, I think they'll all come together and realize just play baseball, and I think this team's talented enough to overcome a lot of that stuff.
I hope you're right, Andrew. I hope you're right. This is a fun team to watch. Let's move on to the division champions from last year, the Minnesota Twins, a.k.a. the Boomba Squad, Andrew. You remember the Boomba Squad. Some notable additions and subtractions from both of these, from this squad. Matt Shoemaker comes into the rotation. Alex Colomé comes from Chicago, goes to the Twins. Probably will be their closer. Had a tough outing in spring, I just saw. And Dalton Simmons goes into the shortstop. J.A. Happ goes into the rotation. Hanser Robles and Nelson Cruz comes back. Was on free agency for a while. Kind of thought he was going to leave, but does come back to the squad. They lose Eddie Rosario and his eyebrows, as we said earlier. Sergio Romo, Jake Odorizzi just left them, went to the Houston. Tyler Clippard, Marwin Gonzalez is in Boston. Rich Hill and Homer Bailey are all gone from the squad now, Andrew. What are your thoughts on this team?
I think Jake Odorizzi is going to be a huge loss for this team. You replace him with J.A. Happ, who's kind of been on a downward trend these last couple of years. I think Odorizzi was a big spot, third man in that rotation, if not second last year. I can't remember. But it's going to be a bigger loss than I think some people might think. I think it's going to be a couple more losses for them there. But overall, I think this team's deep enough. I love the Simmons addition here at shortstop. Really solidifies some of that defense on their end. So I think this team's going to give White Sox a big run for their money here in this division.
Yeah, I like this squad too, to be honest. You know, on paper, you think about it, you're like, I don't know, it's the Twins. But then you realize, like, man, they just keep hitting home runs. But a subplot to watch. MLB's coming out. They said that they're going to, like little de-juice the baseball. Their way of saying, like, maybe we did mess with the baseball a little bit. Maybe we did. But so the de-juice baseball, maybe this will hurt the Boomba Squad the most. This was a team that, kind of rose as the juice ball kind of rose, and we'll see how that affects them. And like I said, they're a home run hitting squad, and if the balls aren't flying as much, for the first couple weeks because the MLB messed it up, maybe that's a couple losses right there, and that's not a good recipe for the Twin squad.
No, absolutely not. I think they rely heavily on that, especially with them keep bringing back Josh Donaldson. I think that's a guy they rely on in that sense too. So they're going to have to rely on the long ball too, especially again. I think the pitching staff took a little bit of dip there after those first two guys in this rotation with Pineda and then J. Happ, and then we don't know who the fifth star is going to be yet. So I think they're going to have to win a lot of games through their offense.
Yeah, I mean, Kenta Maeda is going to be good. We'll see how good he is. He's been good for I think a couple of years now, 2-3 years. So at some point he might fall off. Hopefully not this year. I like Kenta. I think he's a good pitcher. And Jose Barrios, when are we going to see it, man? What are we going to see? Everyone says he has the stuff, but he just never puts it together. Always has a high ERA. Hopefully they end up beating the Yankees this year in the playoffs for once. Let's go ahead and get into best case, worst case. Andrew, are you over there?
No,
we're back again. And Andrew's computer crashes and we're alive. And now let's go into best case, worst case for the Minnesota Twins. How about it, Andrew?
I think best case for this team is the division title. Again, it's going to be competing against the White Sox. So best case is going to be division title, for the division-wise, division title. Overall-wise, again, I think they're pretty much hand-in-hand with the White Sox. So I gave White Sox a title run. I got to give the Twins a title run as well. That's best case. We all know their playoff woes we've seen in the past. They kind of have fallen off come playoff time. So are they able to get past that mark? So that'd be best case scenario is going on a little playoff run that this team or fans have not gotten to see recently. I'd say worst case scenario. This is tough because I really don't see how this team falls too much off from last year. I think worst case would be the pitching really blows up after the top two, if not just Kenta Maeda there in the top of that rotation. The starting pitching can't keep them in games to start off games, and they lose games early on because of the starting pitching. So that'd be worst case is starting pitching hurts them enough, and they eventually fall out and miss the playoffs.
Yeah, I think worst case would be a wild card berth. I don't think they miss the playoffs. I think this team just is too good. I think they get one of those wild card spots. I'd be pretty surprised if they did miss the playoffs. But I guess if we are talking worst cases, then I guess worst case is missing the playoffs. Right.
That's what I mean. Yeah, I would not pick this team to miss the playoffs, but worst case would have to be in that sense. But
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
Yeah, best case, of course, like you said, win the division. I don't think so highly of them as to say that win the AL pennant, because they'll have to play the Yankees at some point, most likely, and they just don't beat the Yankees apparently. So we'll see. I mean,
unless the Yankees get knocked out before them.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I hope so, Andrew. They are also, by the way, the division odds plus 140. I say that because we've reached a time where we will talk about players to watch out for this squad, and then we will hit those sweet over-unders and World Series odds, Andrew. Let's get into it. Give me your player to look out for this Minnesota Twins squad.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to take a guy that's been there for a few years now. And that's Mitch Garver. I think he's got a huge spot to fill in this in this lineup, just because of what he's going to be the game caller behind the plate. So he has a big spot there with the rotation, as I already mentioned. And then he took a tremendous drop off last year, a 167 average. People were considering him up there as not the best catcher, but top catcher in the league through his 18 and 19 years, when he really performed very well for this lineup. And we talked about how this lineup's going to have to carry him. You know what you're going to get out of Nelson Cruz. You know what you're going to get that contact hitter in Simmons. You know what you're getting in those guys. You know what you're getting in Donaldson. The question is, where's Garver going to become in this lineup? We saw him hit when he was at his best. You saw him hitting around the 3-5 range. In the lineup, and last year obviously had to take a dip down and fall different spots in the lineup. So my big guy to watch here in this lineup is Mitch Garver, just because of that sense is what he's going to have to do, not only defensively but offensively for this team as well, to climb back in this. And I mean, you look at the last couple of years, the way his stats have diminished a lot recently. I think that's kind of a concern here for the Twins, and a big spot. The catching spot's a big spot to pay attention as the season goes. Say he has another bad year and you're still in contention at the deadline. What do you do at the deadline? Do you kind of buy in for a catcher, or do you just trust for a second half comeback? So I'm interested to see where this goes and what kind of season for Mitch.
Yeah, I want to pick someone that kind of similar vein, Andrew. I want to pick a Luis Arias. He is similar to Nick Madrigal, and he is their contact hitting guy in this big bopping lineup. I think he needs to have a good year, or at least hit around that 300 average to keep supplementing these. Well, let's make our solo home runs from Nelson Cruz 2-run shots, or let's keep adding on to base runners, because these solo shots sometimes are really killers, because if he doesn't get on, then there's not that many contact guys that get on for these home runs. So I want to see him come up, do his thing, and maybe, like we said, he might be a beneficiary of the not juice ball. Maybe his services are more needed because he needs to slap more singles and drive in more runs that way. So I'm excited to see what he does. Hopefully he has another high hitting season. I love those contact guys, Andrew. Need some more of them.
No, absolutely. I agree. And I think that's what the league's trying to do here with the change of everything.
Yeah. All right, Andrew. Let's officially get into that win total and World Series odds. We'll get in here right now. I have them at 88.5, Andrew. 80.5 for that win total, plus 1,200 for the Minnesota Twins. Are you feeling that over? Or are you feeling that under, Andrew?
I'm going to lean toward the over on this one as well. Give me about 90 wins.
I like that as well. I'm going to go over. I like the 90 wins range as well. I think what we haven't mentioned, Rocco Baldelli is a pretty good manager, and I think he'll figure out what that he needs to do with the bullpen and the pitching staff. Shout out to Rocco.
Absolutely, and I think he showed his trend in what he can do as a manager last year. We'll see if he's able to keep it up, and it'll be fun to see what kind of managerial decisions he makes against the White Sox. Those games are going to be fun.
Yes, they are. All right, Andrew. Let me hear it, Andrew. Who do you have to win this division, Andrew? Let me tell you the odds again. Let's recap it for everyone. Currently, White Sox sit at minus 140. The Minnesota Twins sit at plus 140. Cleveland Indians plus 750. The Kansas City Royals at plus 5,000. And the Detroit Tigers, who conspicuously we didn't talk about, because guess what? there's a whole nother show where me and my good friend Jordan Hall talk about the Detroit Tigers, everything you need to know about them. So go listen on to that show. The link will be in the description below. So go listen in if you are a Detroit Tigers fan. Andrew, do you have coming out of this division?
I have the Chicago White Sox winning the division at, I think I said 93 wins.
Yes, I have the Chicago White Sox as well winning this division, Andrew. You are a record keeper in this podcast, so it is your job to keep these records. And remember who we pick, please, and thank you. Who do you have finish second and third in this division by chance?
In second, I'll take
Minnesota.
Yeah, give me Minnesota.
And third, you have Cleveland?
Absolutely.
All right, I will go that same thing, but in third, I will have the Kansas City Royals instead of the Cleveland Indians.
So Indians 4, Tigers 5?
Most likely. Okay. Unfortunately, Tigers are coming, though. Like me and my good friend Jordan Hall said, Tigers are coming. All right, Andrew, this is a good episode of Say Hey Plays. A little longer than we expected. What we are planning to do, let's talk about that now. What we are planning to do with Say Hey Plays, we will come to you guys, hopefully a little daily-ish, couple times a week for a quick little 20-minute video. Give us our thoughts on the day, gambling-wise, maybe a pick or two. See us out here, depending on how the slate is. But we will talk about that as we get closer to the season. Thank you so much for rocking with us. In episode 2, especially if you rock with us episode 1 during the Super Bowl, we had a great day. There was a video on that on Twitter that you could have watched us just flaunting our correctness. But it was a great time. Andrew, do you have anything to plug before we get out of here?
Yeah, continue to check us out here at Pub Sports Radio. Check out what I write for the website. Other podcasts I do as well are Philly Sports Now, Chase Independent, and True Philly Sportcast. And then, of course, follow me on Twitter at AJ_Santangelo.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for listening. As always, we'll catch you guys soon. I can't tell you exactly what day because Andrew's a super busy man. But we might have a pretty special guest coming up soon. We'll see. We'll see if we can get everything arranged. And a pretty special guest throws particularly hard. Might be wearing a uniform in the NL Central. Who's to say? Who's to say? All right. Thanks. Catch us next time here at Pub Sports Radio. See you then.